my attention as we're going through. So this is the parent workshop series on Genesis Parent Portal. So the agenda that we're going to go through today is just how you request an account or get assistance with your password. Then we're going to look into logging into the parent account. One of the most important things that I think most parents look for is being able to customize your settings. That lets you know what items you will get email notifications about when they are posted in your child's account. We're going to then explore all the different tabs available to you in the parent portal. And then we're going to take a moment just to talk about account security, which is the primary email address you have within the Genesis account. And then sometimes requests that we get from students trying to act as though they're their parents and getting access into the parent portal. Okay, so I'm going to exit out of this and I'm going to bring us over to the Piscataway Schools website. So you're going to want to go to piscatawayschools.org. This is where you can find information on getting an account or getting support with your account if you get locked out or if you need password assistance or anything like that. Also, the link to the parent portal can be found here. It's found underneath the Parents tab. So if you hover over the Parents tab, you can go over to the Genesis Parent module and click on that. Once there, if you scroll down, if you do need help with the parent portal, getting access, either getting an account or getting password assistance, you can email this web address here, this email address here, piscatawaydata@pway.org. If you do not have an account, they need this information here. If you do, it's still best to provide this information and say that I forgot my login credentials. If you do know your login credentials and you want to access the site, up at the top of the page, it's this Genesis Student Information System, which we also call the parent module. So if I click on here, it's going to bring me to the parent module website. There's a whole bunch of information that comes down here as well that you can read through about stuff coming up in the district, but also there are options for a different language that you can select down here at the bottom. There are numerous different languages. I think it addresses all the different languages we have here in district, but I cannot be guaranteeing that as I did not check that one for one. Okay. Today, I'm going to use the account of one of our district coaches. She said she doesn't mind if we use her child's account. So therefore, it is the best live data that you can see, and it'll look more like your students when you log in. Okay, once you log into the website, if you have numerous children, only one of them will show up. You'll have to toggle over to your other student, which you can do up over here, selecting student with the down arrow. You'll see that my coach has both Ayan and Arjun in our district schools. So both students have an account. I could toggle between the two of them and then it'll change between the two students. Okay. We're going to go into how to customize your settings. So if you go over here to the settings tab, which you see along the top, you can change your passwords if you want. You can also change where you go to in your home screen. So you can have your home screen show up to the message center, the student summary, which is where we were, contacts, grading, or the grade book. This will be where you are when you log in. You'll notice also when you're in, you can select the language while you are in here. Okay. If you go up here to Message Center, this is another area where you're going to want to customize. So if you look up here at the top, and this is what we find most parents are interested in. If you look up here at the top where it says Message Alert Setup, if you click on here, this is where you can tell the program to email you to the primary email address on file. So if you're not sure what email address that is, it's going to tell you that right here. So this is the primary email address listed for Ion, whereas Arjun has 2 email addresses listed. If you want to get more email addresses listed, or you want to change your email address that's on here, that's another reason to email piscataway.data@pway.org. Okay, so it tells you the different alerts that you can get. Any letters that are posted that are sent home from the school. You can receive an attendance alert if your child is absent. I would assume that being more relevant for students at older grades, if you want to just make sure that they actually got to school. You can get an alert anytime a teacher updates their grade book, and you can get an alert for any time that messages are put out. For instance, like how conferences are going to be put out very shortly, you would get a email notification that conferences are open and you can sign up. Now, this is up to you to decide. For instance, if you do gradebook grades, every time your child's teacher puts a grade in, and if you're in middle school or high school, that can get to be a lot because there are numerous different teachers. You'd be getting emails all the time. So it's up for you to decide. You just go down here and click on the boxes. If you notice, if I click on or off, the check mark is there. So this account is set up to get alerts about any letters, any gradebook grades, and any messages, not the attendance. You'll want to make sure that you go down to the bottom if you make any changes at all and save your alert preferences. Now you'll be receiving emails to any of the accounts that are listed here. Again, if these are not the email addresses that you want to use, or you want to change them or add them, you will need to send an email to piscataway.data@pway.org. Okay, so what we've gone through first is that a couple of people add in to the session. We looked at our settings tab where you can change your password. You would obviously have to know your current one. If not, you can do a forget password email, or you can email Piscataway Data. And you can also determine what you want your home screen to be. Then we went over into the message center. This is where any messages that you got, obviously you can delete them out. You can read them, but we went up into message alert setup, and we decided on what alerts I want emailed to me at the email addresses listed here. Okay, obviously you can log out over here. There's a contacts tab. This is where you can also just go and make sure that all of your information is current. If anything in here is not the current information of which you want it to be, again, you will contact Piscataway Data@pway.org, and you can have that information changed. You could also contact your child's school secretary or school main office, and they can guide you on how to get any of this information changed. Okay. If I go back into student data, now we're going to look at how I find out information about my child. What I do want to point out is that in kindergarten through 3rd grade, so that would be at Eisenhower, Grandview, Knollwood, and Randolphville, the teachers do not put grades into gradebook. So there, all you would really find out here is a child's attendance, which if you click on the attendance, you could see any day for the entire school year that a student was either absent, excused or unexcused, or late to school, excused or unexcused. There are a few other items over here on the legend as well. Okay, they will not have anything in grading, in gradebook, because of the grade level that they're in, which is K-3. Starting in 4th grade is where the gradebook becomes active, and we'll look at that in a second. Grading tab is where once the first marking period is over, you will see grades underneath marking period 1 for the marking period grades. So this is where we go for our report cards. We do not send report cards home. You access them here in the Genesis parent portal. Okay, I'm actually going to switch over to Arjun since he does have more information in here because he is in 4th grade. So that's where I'm going to want to click on the grade book because it goes with grading. So I want to do those together. You'll notice that you see a list of all of the courses that Arjun is taking this year. And you see a marking period average. Okay. If you click on the marking period average, so let's pick mathematics, you will see all the individual assessments and the grades that he received on those assessments. Okay. There's almost like nothing you can do wrong. You can just start clicking around and looking at different things while you're on here. If you scroll down, it will show you the weighted categories for that specific content area. What I can tell you is, for instance, I supervise the math department. So these are predetermined percentages for the math department. If you go into different subject areas, like Mr. Coleman is the literacy supervisor, he will have different categories and different weights in here. You'll notice it also gives you the average for each category. Sometimes students think, oh, I just take the average of all of my assignments here, and that should be the average of my grade. However, we weight different categories differently. So because, for instance, quizzes and tests would carry more weight than a homework assignment. The class summary is also down there at the bottom, which again is more important for middle or high school, where you can tell if they attended that class as opposed to maybe other classes or being absent for an entire day. I can, once I'm in here, toggle to his different content areas. I do not need to go back. So if I go to the English language arts, for instance, you'll see it changes for us. In this one, the teacher has a comment. So you can always see sometimes the teacher will type a comment in. And if we scroll down, you'll see the weights are different here than they were in math. Okay, you can change the marking period here if you would want to. We only have one marking period at this time, so there really wouldn't be a reason for us to do that. Okay, this is the overall course summary. I can also go and just look for certain assignments, or I can get all of the assignments that my child had. So I could show all courses and all assignments at the same time and search. The nice thing about this as a parent, and I know because I do this for my child, is I look at all the assignments and then I can scroll down quickly and I can see if anything was missing or anything that my child did not hand in. And it's all quickly seen on one page. So I can determine if I need to, speak to my child about making up a missing assignment. Okay, it does tell you the class that it occurred in. It tells you the teacher. It gives you the assignment name, the category, all the different information that you would need. Okay. You can obviously get this, not obviously, but you can also get this as a printable version. So this is something that, let's say, for instance, you would want to, print something out to have documentation at home. When you're going to speak to your child, you can print it out if you would want that. A lot of parents decide to do that for the report card. Still like to have a printed report card to kind of put on the refrigerator. So you can do that. Okay. There are other options up here. We talked about the overall summary page. Okay. We talked about the attendance page, just rolling through again. Okay. We can go to the grading, which we talked about. That's where you will see their report card grades or final grades when they come in. Clicking over here, you'll also see these are the available report cards if you would want them in a printed version or a PDF document so that you can see. I could pull up the report cards from last year so you could see that. It opens in a different tab, and then you see a finalized report card. This is the only place where you'll be able to see the comments that are typed in from the teachers, where they have their additional comments down here at the bottom for grades, I believe, K to 3. Starting in the fourth grade, They only put comments up here in these boxes unless they feel as though they have something additional to say down at the bottom. Okay. Every report card your child ever gets will stay in this system. So you can look back, you know, at if your child's in 10th grade, you can look back and they've been here their entire career. You can look back on all of the report cards that they've ever had in the Piscataway schools. If there were to be any infractions or any sort of discipline record, that would be in here as well. If there were any fees or fines, for instance, when we go back to having a paid lunch program, you would see in here that if they would have a, you know, a balance left for lunch, or let's say, for instance, there's, I think there's a locker fee or something at the high school, those sorts of things would show up in here. Okay, grade book tab we already looked at. I'll just click on it as I go through. Again, you could see the live links of anything highlighted in blue. You're not really going to see anything in the scheduling tab, and that's fine. Documents library. This account does not have any in here. What you would see in here is any child that's seeing a support specialist, there would be documents uploaded in here from the support specialist with more specific information, since that's not on a report card, nor is it in their grade book. Also in here is if your child is in an ESL program, you would see a document attached in here. Another instance of a document is any child that's in the honors program in 4th and 5th grade. You would see a document uploaded in here. So these are really for students that are in a specialized program outside of the regular classroom. So again, that was an honors program, a support specialist, or ESL are 3 examples of that. Okay. Over here is a forms library. These are the forms that, for instance, you had to fill out a form on whether or not your child was going to be coming into school. Okay, this is where you would fill out those types of forms. Okay, that's the learning plan that you see in here twice. As you know, parents had to do it a couple times. Also, the transportation services waiver is in here. These are all different. This can have a bunch of different stuff in here. Bob, did I see a question come up in the chat that I can answer?
Is this 4th grade and up?
The 4th grade and up, everybody in K3 does have an account, and all of the things will be in here except the grade book will be empty because the teachers don't use the grade book. So for instance, Ion is in kindergarten, so he does not have anything in here for grade book, but you still have access and you still have information under all of the other tabs. So even if you are in K3, you're going to want to make sure you get yourself an account so that you have all the information in the other tabs. And also because once they get into 4th grade, the grade book will start automatically populating. Okay.
Okay, so library, special subjects.
So the library with the special subjects, I'm not sure what that means. Like if they are on a 504 plan. Oh, do you mean would that be in doc? You can unmute yourself if you'd like to talk, because I don't understand what you're asking and I want to be able to address it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just asking, in the library part, you said there would be special assignments or special reports for children that are in special courses. So if they have a 504 plan or a reading specialist, the documentation would be included in there?
Yes. Okay, I didn't understand what you meant about library. I'm thinking the actual library in school. I'm like, oh.
Sorry,
yeah.
I thought that's what it was called, the library section.
Yeah, the document library. I apologize. Yeah, so yes, you would find those types of items in here. Anything that gets posted as an extra document, yeah, you would find it in there.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. Conferences are also in here. This is where the conferences will become live. I believe a parent letter will be going home shortly on the sign up of conferences. So if you want to sign up for conferences for your child, that's another reason to have the parent portal, even if you're only in K-3 and you don't see grades in there. It's how you'll get access to the sign up for the conferences. Okay. I've never seen anything in letters. So I would think this is something with, and I apologize, is if you were to put a letter in your student's file, maybe coming from a different school system or something like that, they can upload those letters into this file. Okay, so we've pretty much covered all of the tabs that are up along the top here, as well in the upper toolbar here. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, and it doesn't actually have to do with the setup within Genesis though, is just the account security. Especially when your child gets older, you're going to want to make sure that the email address on your Genesis account is the email address that you want all information to go to. A lot of times, you know, if you're in a two-parent household or a mother and a grandmother or something like that, you have to make sure that that first email address is the one that you want the information to go to. Usually there's one person that checks their email more than others. So you want to make sure that that's the one that you do check all of the time. And in addition to that, a lot of students start figuring out that they can email Piscataway data at pway.org and tell that email address that they have been locked out of their account and they'd like a new password. And that doesn't end up being the parent. So we do have someone that monitors that account from the background and make sure that it comes from the email address that is on your Genesis account. And they cross-reference that, so they're not giving a password out to somebody that it should not be going to. So another reason to make sure that that email address is the one that you want it to be. Okay. Do we have any other questions from those of us that joined us today? If so, you can unmute and ask if you don't want to have to type.
Quick question. I just want to know, awesome presentation, by the way. But I just want to know, if I signed Kimi up originally for in person, but then I went back on the 16th of October and I decided to keep him home virtually. But now when I look in Genesis, it shows up that he did, he's on this in-person calendar for Thursdays and Fridays. Who do I email to get that switched back to virtual only?
The best thing to do in that instance is to email the principal of the school with a copy to the secretary, because that will guarantee that it gets changed. Awesome. I don't want it to get lost. I don't want that information to get lost in Piscataway data somewhere.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks a million. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. That's it for our presentation. If you have a question and you want to stay on, go for it. We'll stay on as long as anyone wants. If not, we thank you for coming today, and we hope that you gained some information that you did not quite know when you first signed in today.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.
So this is Susan Whitaker speaking.
Yes.
You had mentioned an email, piscatawaydata@piscataway.org.
At pway.org. I'm going to pull up. Yeah.
That's what I meant to say. Piscatawaydata@pway.org. Okay.
Yes.
I was a little bit late joining. Can you just review with me what I would use that email address for?
Of course. I'm going to go back, then I'm going to open up a new tab. Just so I can show you where we started out from. We went to the Piscataway Schools website to parents, and then went over to the Genesis parent module.
Right.
Anytime that you either get locked out of your parent module, would like to change the login information for your parent module, or anything with the access to that, or anything that you want to change in Genesis, like you might have information you want to change in there, then you would email piscatawaydata@pway.org. So for instance, your phone number changes, or you want to use a new email address, things like that, you can send that to piscatawaydata@pway.org.
Okay. So what I noticed, I have two children, and what I noticed in Genesis here is that for the contacts, one of my children has contacts, but one of the contacts doesn't have a phone number, which I can't explain because I provided it.
Mhm.
And then the other child doesn't have any contacts. It's just me as his guardian. So I'm wondering, is that Piscataway data at pway.org where I would send a request to have this updated?
You can send that there, yes, to have it updated.
Okay.
You could also, like I said, emailing the building secretary also helps a lot of times too, as they can put it in, but Piscataway data would take care of that for you as
Yeah,
well.
the thing is, though, I want them to be the same. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why one of the, because they're different schools. I don't know why one of them doesn't have any contacts in here and the other one does. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. You know what you could do too? Do you know how to do a screenshot of your computer?
I know how to do a, yes.
So if you like take a screenshot of what you're saying and paste that into the email, so you could explain to the person like, see, it's not showing up the same. I want it to show up the same.
Okay.
And they'll understand what you're saying and tell
Okay.
them what you want to put in there.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all that I had.
Okay. Thank you, Susan.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well done, Rebecca.
All right.